For years, we've watched the game unfold, a political chess match where one side seems to play by an entirely different set of rules. They control the board, they move the pieces, they dictate the narrative. But what if I told you that while everyone has been focused on the screaming, the distractions, and the media theatrics?
I said, I've never met a funnier man than Greg Gutfeld. I think Greg Gutfeld is the funniest
But you don't have to watch it.
What?
No, that's voluntary. My point is, if you watch that, you learn stuff about what was going in the White House in 3.5 hours that you never would, but you're mad because they're flattering him.
I'm not mad. I'm saying that it is a particular style that most people would say most likely resembles things that go on in Russia, North Korea, or China, not in a Western democracy.
The style.
Okay.
President Trump has been quietly and methodically executing a secret plan, a series of strategic moves that are now leading to checkmate on the political chessboard. And the most delicious irony, the very people who created this rigged game are now being hoisted by their own petard. They're so blindsided by his moves, they're accidentally admitting the absolute truth about their own vulnerabilities. Case in point, California Governor Gavin Newsom. We've heard him and many others preach about election integrity, about fairness, about democracy. But just listen to what he accidentally admitted when he pressed about President Trump's moves to secure our borders and our cities.
In LA, do you think ICE is not going to show up around voting and polling booths to chill participation? You know that. The National Guard, you know that. Everybody knows what's at stake, so we have to put a stake in the ground and do things differently.
And right outside, at this exact moment, are dozens and dozens of ICE agents. Donald Trump, you think it's coincidental? No. Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy, clearly decided, coincidentally or not, that this was a location to advance ICE arrest. Indiscriminate? Perhaps. We'll find out later.
Did you hear that? He's worried, terrified even, not because of the threat to legal voters, but because he knows, and he just told all of us, that without a certain segment of the population, his political machine struggles, fails, sinks faster than the submarines that I served on. He's literally admitting that if you enforce the law, people won't show up to vote for them. This isn't just a slip, it's a confession. It exposes the entire fraudulent premise of their open door and open border policies. This is the secret plan at work. While the left is focused on protecting narratives, Trump is focused on protecting the integrity of our entire system. He's not arguing them about immigration theory. He's deploying DHS and ICE, securing the border, and moving into cities like Chicago with force to deal with the chaos. He's changing the game from a debate about feelings to a demonstration of facts on the ground. And it's not just immigration. The other aspect of this checkmate strategy is just as brilliant. While Democrats were overstating populations in some areas and understating them in others, manipulating the census for political gain, Trump is doing something quietly transformative. He's calling on Republican governors to immediately begin redistricting. Florida is poised to gain 4 to 5 House seats. Missouri is holding a special session called by the governor. Texas already approved 5 new Republican seats. We're going to get rid of some people like Al Green and Jasmine Crockett. This isn't just a winning battle. It's redrawing the map on the battlefield to secure the entire strategic advantage. They built a house of cards on manipulated data and blurred lines. Trump's secret plan isn't a secret at all. It's simply adhering to the actual law and reality and common sense. And he's forcing them to play by the rules they themselves establish. And the result? Checkmate. The board is being cleared, and a new game, based on American principles is about to begin. The battle at home is one aspect of the entire game. Another aspect is our foreign adversaries. Donald Trump has called on Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to remove, eradicate, and let's level the playing field with China right here at home. One of the biggest culprits in some of this espionage has been Microsoft, and I want you to watch this clip.
Last month, the Department of Defense was made aware of an Obama-Biden-era legacy program called Digital Escorts. For nearly a decade, Microsoft has used Chinese coders, remotely supervised by U.S. contractors, to support sensitive DoD cloud systems. The program was designed to comply with contracting rules, but it exposed the department to unacceptable risk. I mean, if you're thinking America first and common sense, this doesn't pass either of those tests. So I initiated an immediate review of this vulnerability, and I want to report our initial findings. So the use of Chinese nationals to service Department of Defense cloud environments, it's over. We've issued a formal letter of concern to Microsoft documenting this breach of trust, and we're requiring a third-party audit of Microsoft's digital escort program, including the code and the submissions by Chinese nationals. This audit will be free of charge for U.S. taxpayers.
As you can see, the battles are here and being brought here on a daily basis by multiple adversaries. We've got a lot to cover. And some of the things here are basically propped up by the lamestream news media and the amount of misinformation and hatred.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
By even Democrat candidates and CNN, MSNBC, and some of these other Democrat-controlled news stations. I'll show you this clip.
On the masks, I actually interviewed the director of ICE today, Todd Lyons, on my radio show for about 20 minutes. I asked him point blank about the masks. I said, what is the situation with the masks? Why is it happening? What is your observation? He said, I don't like the masks. I wish we didn't have to do the masks. He said back in March, we weren't. But then something changed. And what changed was people started doxing these ICE agents, posting their personal information, posting where their families are, posting where their kids' schools are, putting them and their families in jeopardy. And he doesn't want them to have to do it.
That is a risk that every law enforcement officer in this country faces. Everyone.
You think they deserve? You think they should face
I'm not
that
saying,
risk?
listen.
I also need to say about this idea that Gavin Newsom suddenly cares about crime because of Donald Trump and he's imitating him. This partnership with California Highway Patrol is from 2023. So from the Biden era, it was effective, then it was expanded. He has sent officers to Bakersfield, San Bernardino, and Oakland. They've already made over 9,000 arrests, recovered 500 stolen cars, 400 firearms. Okay. This is not about Donald Trump. This is about a way to manage your own state without actually the federal government coming in and usurping the power of democratically elected leaders.
Well, so Jessica says that Gavin Newsom is mocking Donald Trump, but maybe he's following his playbook. I mean, sending in more and more police into these
I just told you where it came from. He did it before Donald Trump is copying Gavin Newsom.
Then what's new? Are you starting to understand the irony and the hypocrisy that has come to be one party? It's the news media and the liberal left. That is what Donald Trump has been up against. That's what he's going to be up against for the next 3 years of his presidency. It's what the Democrat Party wants. And as the news media grows in popularity, so does the Democrat Party. And what we've seen over the last year, year and a half, is people like myself and others here on YouTube and other platforms, we're giving you better breakdowns of the news because we're not paid by them. We want what's best for America, not what's best for our advertisers. Thank you for watching.
One time I asked my U.S. history survey class how many of them would sell their U.S. citizenship for $30,000. Half the room raised their hand. They saw no benefit to being a U.S. citizen. And so I asked these rocket geniuses where they would spend their $30,000. And one guy said, well, I'll take it to Mexico. I said, well, as soon as somebody figures out that you're 19 years old with 30 grand in your pocket, you're going to end up in a bad way. Then next one said, well, I'm going to go to Germany, best standard of living on earth. And I said, great, that 30 grand will last you about 6 months, and then you'll figure out what their social welfare system looks like. And then third guy said, well, I'll go to Egypt. And that was so out of left field. I said, all right, everybody, stop what you're doing. Pull out your phones, pull out your tablets, and go to a website called wherecanidrinkthewater.com. And just see where on planet Earth you can just turn on the tap and drink the water. And these kids were stunned. They were absolutely gobsmacked that you couldn't go to Russia, for instance, for most of Russia, and turn on the faucet and get a glass of water. You certainly can't do that in Egypt. And so that's when I started to figure out these kids have no context for their own modern life. And things that we take for granted here have a larger story, a larger context that they need to understand, or they're not going to be fully educated.
If you appreciate this kind of deep dive into the real political chess match, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to the channel. Don't forget to ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next breakdown of the truth. And let me know in the comments, what do you think of Gavin Newsom's accidental admission? Go check out this video next to see how the CDL licenses are putting you and your family at danger anytime you get on a highway.